right, so the war is ongoing, Jonathan. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I can tell you who's going to be the winner and the loser. My opinion right now.
Okay, what is it?
The loser will be Russia.
As in, when you say loser?
Loser meaning that at some point it's either they're going to lose small or they're going to lose big. And I'm not talking about the battle. I'm talking about
the bigger picture.
The bigger picture.
Okay.
Because, there is no way in the world, as we talked about I've talked about in the last few days, I believe Vladimir Putin did not realize the amount of fighting force that Ukraine has given the Russian military. They still have not seized any city yet.
Sheesh.
After 2 weeks of fighting. This is supposed to be the number 2 military in the world behind the United States.
Wow.
Ukraine, I think, was ranked 22 or 23.
Oh, wow.
So, and the Russian military outnumbers the Ukrainians, I think, 3-1 at this point.
But that's also because they're not really putting their big dogs out
Well,
yet,
I think
right?
also, the Ukrainians are fighting for their land, their wives, their spouses, their children, their jobs.
It
their
means a lot
livelihood.
more.
It means a lot more to them.
Yeah.
So, Putin was not. Putin thought he was going to take over Ukraine by now.
Yeah, you could tell.
Right. Number two.
Look at that face. Unbothered.
You know what? Between him and the pumpkin, it's amazing.
It's wild.
Yeah, right? These are our leaders.
Right.
Number two, Putin did not realize the amount of sanctions that were going to be pushed up against Russia, and we'll talk about that in a second. He also didn't realize cancel culture. Everybody's canceling Russia.
Because my thing is...
So ultimately, he's either going to lose small or big.
Right.
But ultimately, they're going to lose. Because
Right.
in the end, they can't... The Ukrainians don't want them there. And you can't rule over a country of 44 million people. Do you know how many people in the military you would need to rule
Right.
over a country of 44 million people who don't want you there?
So
who
could
you
you-
just bombed the hell out of all their cities?
Right. Could you see him actually taking back taking everything back and being like, okay.
No, well, that's the problem. In the history, Russian history, I'm not that I'm an expert in Russian history, but I'll tell you what I do know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What I do know is that after World War I, the Tsar of, I guess it was the Russian Tsars, I guess. I think his name was, I don't want to say, I forgot his name. It could have been Nicholas or whoever the last Russian Tsar was. After World War I, the communists threw him out because Russia did not do very well in the war. Okay? So every time Russia doesn't do well, Nicholas II, thank you. Every time Russia doesn't do well, their lead in a war, new leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, World War I, no more Tsar, Nicholas gone. It's now the communists. Okay, then World War II, Stalin won. He got to stay in power. During the 60s, the Cuban Missile Crisis, Brezhnev, who was in charge of Russia, pulled the missiles out of Cuba. 2 years later, he's out of power because he backed down to the United States.
Mm.
Gorbachev invaded Afghanistan for 17 years. They lost the war in Afghanistan. They pulled out. Guess what happened? Gorbachev started perestroika, and as a result of all of that, he lost power. So every time there's a war, and just historically, the head of whoever's running Russia, if they lose, ends up historically not being in power.
Okay.
So Putin can't afford. He's going to keep doubling and tripling down. But so it's just a matter of, do you lose small or do you lose big? That seems to be the problem, and that seems to be the quandary that everybody's in. Is like, how do you get out of all of this now?
And I don't see all the companies and the people that have pulled out of Russia. I don't see them going back if they actually do conquer Ukraine. You're never going to have that.
He didn't expect NATO to be as united. He didn't expect the Ukrainians to fight like they are. He didn't expect the economic sanctions. And he was not expecting cancel culture.
Yikes. That.
So
at this point, is it worth it?
And then when he does, if he does take over Ukraine, which all the military experts said they should have done it already, but
right.
Eventually they'll take over Ukraine. If you believe all the military experts, how are they going to rule over this country that doesn't want them there?
Right.
I don't think they've thought it through. So Poland wants to give their MiG fighters, we talked about that yesterday, to Ukraine because the Ukrainian pilots know how to fly MiGs because they're all former Soviet airplanes, fighter planes. Poland already offered the MiGs. The United States turned them down. Not because the United States doesn't want to help the Ukraine, but it's a practical matter. The United States does not want to get into a war with Russia because the United States never wants to have a nuclear war with Russia. Nobody wins.
Right.
Okay? You know what happens when you have a nuclear war? Everybody loses.
Yeah.
Okay? There's no winner in a nuclear war.
Right.
So the United States does not want to antagonize Russia. And by the way, you want to know why? I just thought of this, by the way. You want to know why I think Putin was already losing?
Why?
Because he's threatening nuclear war.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no winners in nuclear war. So nobody wins in nuclear war. We're all dead.
Yes.
Okay, so why would you threaten that unless your back is against the wall?
Right.
Be that as it may. The United States doesn't want to antagonize Russia to pull in NATO. So how do you in theory, in reality, get an airplane from Poland to the Ukraine without Russia saying, wait a second, you're flying planes from Poland to Ukraine, we're going to bomb your airfields. We don't want you to give planes to Poland. It's the same thing why we're not patrolling the skies right now.
Right.
Because we don't want Russia to bomb any airfields in NATO countries because now, guess what? The United States is at war with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that I could think of, I have no idea, okay, is take the plane apart, ship it secretly across the border, put it together secretly across the border, and then start flying it. I don't know how else to do it. So I don't know if that's what they're thinking, but that's how I would do it. And just send a mechanic with a truck to a screwdriver and put the blades together back when you get across the border. But Kamala Harris went to Poland today to figure it out, because the one thing NATO doesn't want is nothing from NATO territory is helping the war effort against Russia, because then all of a sudden now NATO is involved. So we'll see how Kamala Harris deals with all of this. She's in Poland right now. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, he is the president of the Ukraine. He has pleaded for aircrafts. He's pleaded for NATO cover. But I'm going to tell you something. He's getting more confident in the Ukrainian military, because in the first couple of days of the war, everyone thought he was a dead man walking. And in the last few days, he even taunted Vladimir Putin, and in some of his Facebook videos says, here's a geo-tracker of exactly where I am making this video right now. You can't get me anywhere.
Sheesh.
So he's actually taunting.
Right, that's bold.
Yeah. After Kamala Harris goes to Poland, she's going to go to Warsaw to meet with some of the refugees. All of the refugees, almost all of them, are women and children, because the men stayed back to fight. So you have 2 million plus women and children in Poland, Romania, Moldova. There were pictures on the news. Thousands of Germans gathered. Some are going to Germany, in Berlin, to bring money, food, strollers. They were leaving strollers at train stations for women who had to, because you left with the clothes on your back and a baby in your arms, and then everybody drove to the border, and there was a backup at the border of 10, 15, 20 miles of cars trying to cross the border. People were getting out of their cars, carrying their babies to the border, crossing over with nothing. Yeah. So, there's Germans assisting the refugees with money, food. There was pictures of people showing up at the train station saying, come live with me in my home. There was volunteers were dispersed at various train stations, giving food, hot drinks, diapers, coats. People had nothing. A 20-year-old woman named April, a native of Ukraine who had lived in Germany for a year, told the news outlet that although she couldn't help her family flee, she's doing all she can to help those in need. Martina Wardikis and Timo Kolari, a couple in Berlin, also opened up their home to Ukrainian refugees. They said, "We don't know what it's like to live in a war. It's shocking. Our first thought was we need to help a family so that they can feel safe, not be on the street. We will give them some peace in this house." So that's what's going on. In Poland, by the way, there's a viral photo going around showing that people left their used, or maybe they even went and bought strollers at the train station so that when the train showed up with the refugees and women got out of the train, there were strollers waiting for them.
Wow.
Here it is right here, waiting for them when the trains arrived. It's a crime if a man tries to leave the Ukraine and between the ages of 18 and 60 and tries to escape or not be, they're going to arrest that man.
Jeez.
So all men 18 to 60, they need to fight. And that's what's going on there. And you were talking about, all these companies were pulling out.
Right.
I'm talking about cancel culture. Putin never even thought. This is all, by the way, no government told these companies, no government told people on TikTok to cancel Russia.
Right. And I can't really see the people of Russia actually forgiving Putin for putting them in that, because they're going to be suffering.
But you have to understand that Putin controls the media in Russia. So unless you have a VPN and
they don't know that they're getting culture.
Culture, you have a VPN, you can go see Western news. But
sure,
for the most part, you have people in Russia have seen the same news day after day after day. The majority of Russians believe that Russia is going into Ukraine to save a Russian minority that is being killed and slaughtered by the Ukrainians who are run by Nazis, and that this is a peace mission. That's what they believe. Or many of them.
I don't see when you get a full list of retailers and products that pull out of your country. I don't see how you can, unless you're just naive and you're purposely trying to not see stuff, just look in the tunnel. But if you see all these people, all these products that are pulling out, how can you think that this is the right thing to do?
I have a friend in Russia who doesn't know what's going on. I just thought I felt I needed to do this. I sent this person, I paid $4 a month for a subscription to the New York Times. I said, just read the New York Times, see what's going on. And that person has a VPN. I said, read the New York Times, it's $4 a month, see what's going on, tell your friends. Because what you're seeing in Russia is not, I really did it. And I'm I paid for the yearly subscription. It was $48. I'm just read it.
Right. And your friend was like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Coca-Cola's pulled out of Russia. Starbucks, McDonald's, L'Oreal, Estee Lauder, Dove soap, Levi's jeans.
Oh, wow.
Russian Vogue no longer exists. Zara, L'Oreal, Heineken, Pepsi, IKEA, H&M, Nike, Burberry, all gone. Universal Music Group, who just recently acquired Neil Diamond's. I don't think people in Russia listen to Neil Diamond, but who knows? Live Nation is no longer going to promote tours in Russia.
Oh.
Spotify and Netflix have suspended their services in Russia. Sony, Warner Brothers, and Disney say they will not send any movies to Russia. Eric Clapton has canceled his concert in Russia, as well as Bjork. They pulled out of dates in Russia.
That is wild.
Conductor and Putin ally Valery Gergiev, she was dropped from the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra, and later he had lost his position with the Munich Philharmonic Orchestra as well. Anna Netrebko had to withdraw her appearance at the New York's Met Opera after failing to repudiate Putin, but you can't blame her because she has to go back to Russia.
She has to go back.
So if she repudiates, she get FIFA, Russia can't participate. UEFA, I don't know what that is because I'm not a soccer fan, but it's suspended from all European competitions overseen by UEFA. Formula One, all Formula One Grand Prix in Russia have been canceled. The International Tennis Federation is not allowing Russian players to participate in competition. The Winter Paralympics have banned Russians. The World Athletic Series has banned Russians. The International Chess Federation has banned Russians. Vladimir Putin has lost his black belt from the Judo Federation.
I don't think he really cares about that, if his whole country is going through a lot worse. So, I just don't see how.
So it's just
how are they gonna live?
Either you lose small now, or he's gonna lose much bigger in the end. If he loses a lot bigger in the end, it's gonna be a lot of suffering. It's gonna be suffering not only for the Russians because of the sanctions. It's gonna be suffering for the Ukrainians who have to live through a war.
Right.
It's going to be suffering for me and you and everyone else because of the sanctions that the West is putting on Russia in gas prices, inflation, loss of jobs, because even all those companies that pull out of Russia, there are people in other parts of the world that work with those companies in Russia.
Right.
So, for example, McDonald's ships, a carton to Russia, with the McDonald's thing on it. Mm-hmm. Or L'Oreal has to ship makeup. Those are all. McDonald's is going to lose 10% of their revenue.
Yeah, but I very much so respect them for doing that.
People who own stocks in McDonald's are going to lose money.
Yeah,
they're going to have less money to spend in stores. I mean, so. All of this affects everybody because Putin decided to invade Russia, invade Ukraine. One man. That's the key part. One man did all of this.
It's not worth it.
Did all of this on a lie that the Ukrainians were slaughtering Russians in Ukraine. On a lie. Because he had some fantasy of bringing back the Soviet Union. Meanwhile, here in the United States, good news for people who don't get their mail.
Why?
Like Spar and Bernstein, takes like a week to get our mail now. I can't stand the United States Postal Service because it's so slow.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. Good news for people who can't get their mail, like here, us lawyers here at Spar and Bernstein, get frustrated waiting for mail. A bipartisan bill, 79-19, finally, the U.S. Postal Service, after years of neglect, has been given $50 billion to finally come up to speed and get our mail delivered.
Thank God.
Yeah, ahead of the vote, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer touted that once the legislation passes, postal reform will finally be signed, sealed, and delivered. And I'm saying delivered in quotes to the American people. He said, we all know that when the post office is forced to cut hours of operation, delivery routes, lay off workers, we all know what happens. Yeah, we don't get our freaking mail.
Right.
So maybe now that they're funded, if a letter goes out in the mail, we'll get it in our regular 2 to 3 business days like we're supposed to, not 10 days later.
Right. I'm here for that.
I'm up for that too. And today, a jury in Washington, D.C., I'm sorry, not today, this was yesterday, found the first January 6th rioter, Guy Reftiff, guilty on all 5 charges. Redneck? What's his name? Refit. Excuse me, not Redneck. Guy Refit, guilty of all 5 charges related to the assault on the U.S. Capitol, and he now faces 20 years in jail. He purposely went to trial. He is one of the 3%ers or 1%ers. A very extreme. Is it 1% or 3%ers, this group, Joe? whatever the 3%ers, whatever the group's name is, and they're like, you know, you want to call them Ku Klux Klan, you want to call them not, they're all the same.
Right.
You know, white ring, you know, ultra nationalist, supremacist, you know, racist, anti-Semitic.
All the same.
It's all the same. It doesn't matter. They have a sheet over their head. They got a Nazi symbol. They're a 3%er or 1%er, whatever they name. They're all the same.
Yep, I agree.
He's going to go to prison for 20 years. And my pillow guy, who is insane, Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, he says there's a very big lawsuit coming out next week. He's going to sue all the machines.
Oh.
All right. He was the #1 guy on TV who was basically Trump's supporter, saying that the election was rigged.
Oh,
and he sells pillows on Fox News and made $100 million, whatever it is, selling pillows. So they call him the My Pillow guy.
Oh,
and then he went to, you know, be Trump's mouthpiece, saying that the election was rigged.
Right.
So he just had a speech. The only reason we're talking about it because it's so ridiculous.
Yes.
He says, "I'm going to go sue the machines." Enjoy your lawsuit against the machines. We'll see what happens. He said, biggest lawsuit coming next week against the machines. I don't know. Jill just asked, what machine would I sue if I could?
What machine?
Well, I would tell you the machine I would sue if I could.
What machine?
I had to sue a machine years and years ago. But probably the statute of limitations is done now. I was at the gym, and this was before they had, like, you know, a bar at the gym, and it was very fancy. You know, they had like a vending machine.
Okay.
And I just got off the treadmill, and I was freaking dying. And I had 75 cents. That's what it was, like 75 cents for a water.
Uh-huh.
And I put the 75 cents in, and the water got stuck in the thing. And I'm banging it for 10 minutes.
That's a good reason to sue.
And then the manager of the gym was yelling at me. He said, "If you keep banging it, I'm going to throw you out." I go, "But I want my water."
Right.
I want to sue the manager.
And the machine.
And the machine. That's a machine I would have sued.
Yeah.
Need my water there.
Yeah.
That's
Would a
true story.
computer be called a machine?
Anything would be called a
Yeah,
machine.
so there was one time where I lost everything out of nowhere because it just did not want to turn back on.
What?
My laptop, my computer, like had just turned off out of nowhere, and nothing was wrong with it, but never was able to retrieve anything. So I would sue that.
Eliza just whispered in my ear she wants to sue our photocopy machine outside.
Oh.
All right, so we're gonna ask Michael Lindell to make all those lawsuits
Right.
as well.
Throw that in there too.
All right, let's get to some hump day news.
Yes.
We got some hump
goodness.
day. What do we got? We have some camels.
Hump day.
Now, as we said, Yonathan,
Uh-huh.
hump day just means it's the middle of the week.
It's
Right.
Now,
hump
some of
day.
you may think this news is a little randy. It's only because you have dirty minds.
Okay.
But this is just news that we picked because it's the middle of the week.
Okay.
All right? If you have dirty minds, you got dirty minds. But this is just news because it's Wednesday.
Right.
You know, the first news on Wednesday news on Hump Day, just Wednesday news.
That's it.
That's it. Don't get excited. A British man has gone viral because he was flashing his genitalia in a seemingly, what does NSFW mean? Not suitable for work video. Charlie James, let me see what he was flashing. What is he flashing there?
Do you see it?
Oh my God! Why is his genitalia orange?
Trump.
What is it orange? Now apparently that is not his genitalia.
It's not.
But it was some tool he was working in construction.
It's his belt.
Maybe his screwdriver.
No, it's his belt.
His belt. And now he's dancing with his genitalia out.
I can't. Look at the reactions are hilarious. Because so I first saw this as well.
God.
I saw this last week.
Well, I just had to look. Can we see his tool belt again, please? I gotta look at this tool belt again. What kind of tool is that?
The thing is, he knew what he was doing.
You think so?
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. I think so. Because when I first saw it, I was like, wait, what? TikTok? But yes. I thought you was going to start dancing
That's
to
what
it.
I thought too. All right. And in Germany, there he is last time. In Germany, yo-yo, there's a feminist group. Again, just Wednesday news. I don't know why everyone needs to get excited for Hump Day.
Okay.
Just Wednesday news. A German feminist group, Wehrbraut Feminismus, which translates basically to Who Needs Feminism, has created a vulval-shaped spaceship. They want to build this vulva.
A vulva.
Vulva.
Yes.
Why does it have an L at the end?
It doesn't have an L at the end.
But that's what it has on my card. That's why I couldn't pronounce it right. Vulva.
Okay.
Vulva distinct spaceship. And apparently they want it to look like a woman's genitalia.
And it does.
Right. And they want to build this spaceship because Jeff Bezos built his Blue Origin spaceship. And Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin spaceship looks like a circumcised genitalia.
Right.
And what they really want to do is they want to reach out to Jeff Bezos once they have built this vulva spaceship to see if they could have some sort of international docking between the big Blue Origin spaceship and the vulva spaceship up in space. They want to dock it. They want to dock the two together.
Okay.
What do you think? That they would dock this spaceship with the vulva spaceship?
Which one would you rather take to space?
How do you think they would dock these two?
I don't know, but I'd rather take the vulva. I'll take the vulva spaceship. That looks pretty cool.
Dr. Lucia Hartman, head of WBF Aeronautics and inventor of the vulva spaceship, adds the spaceship's shape is surprisingly aerodynamic, creating way less drag than when the vehicle punches through the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's about time we start designing spaceships like a vulva.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't want to be on Jeff Bezos' penis spaceship. Right? Much cooler to be on the vulva one.
Yeah, I want to be on the vulva.
Wouldn't that be great when Blue Origin and the vulva, they dock in space?
Yeah.
It's like a comedy.
Right. Oh, goodness.
How do they dock? How do they put their spaceships together?
I could not tell you.
I can imagine. Human beings have been doing it for, since Adam and Eve. So you can imagine how they would dock the two together. Hump Day, yo, but it's just Wednesday.
It's just Wednesday.
Just Wednesday news.
We're trying to get over the hump, y'all.
Yeah, just to get over the hump. This is interesting. I don't know how many ladies out there would allow their boyfriends to do this, but there's a viral video going around that this woman in New York City during lockdown, COVID, taught her boyfriend how to give her a Brazilian wax. And now he can do a full Brazilian wax of his girlfriend in 20 minutes.
It's pretty impressive.
This is in California. No, it is in New York City. She's originally from California. She shared the Amazon link to her extra strength waxing materials by Sally Hansen and offered her fans words of wisdom. The woman's name is Sunny.
Yes.
And she says, this is the kit we use, and make sure they wax in the right direction. My boyfriend tells me to teach him so I can stop paying for it. It's best when your partner can wax you instead of going to another wax lady. Have you ever waxed anybody?
No.
Would you want to wax?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't like pain, and I don't like...
But you're not in pain.
I understand that, but like me pulling it, I'll be like,
like
and then I probably wouldn't like do it all the way, and then it would actually hurt them.
Did you see the 40-year-old virgin?
Yeah.
Wasn't that hilarious when they were waxing his chest?
He was bleeding after. Like, those are real reactions. No, I'm okay.
I would do it.
I'm sure. Tyrese was like shaving his girlfriend's.
I would do it. Why not?
Private.
I would do it.
Tyrese did it. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, if they needed it done, like, okay, but that's not anything that I really want to.
Now, the likes of Gibson and Sonny's Bow, they're happy to take care of their partner's private pimping, but other guys seem to have some issues like you, Yo-Yo.
Not issues.
Yeah,
it's just
like,
I wouldn't.
Like some critics have wrote on the video, honey, hold on to that man, because I'm speaking from a place as a man that does a ton for his fiance and future wife, and I would never.
Yeah.
And another person said, I'd pay to let her get it done professionally or tell her to rock a full bush.
See, but that's the thing. You see, it was during the pandemic, so
Right.
you know, it makes sense.
All right, and we got to check on our Congolese viewers, our African viewers.
Why?
Apparently, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, although it's illegal, at least according to the news, it is in practice. I don't know how common it is, but common enough that it's a regular practice in the Congo to have multiple wives.
Oh.
And nobody does anything about it. So now there's a man in the Democratic Republic of the Congo who married identical triplets. Now, you heard of a menage a trois, but this man married three identical sisters, triplets. He says, it seems like I was dreaming. The man, identified as Luizo, told Aframax English of the unconventional wedding, which occurred in South Kivu, located in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The marital hat trick was set in motion after the husband-to-be met one of the triplets, Natalie, quickly fell head over heels with her. However, things took a turn after he visited his budding soulmate, and she introduced him to her identical twin sisters, Nadege and Natasha, who equally became smitten with their siblings' new squeeze.
That's crazy.
Then they popped the big question, which reportedly surprised Luizo so much he said he almost fainted. It was the women who wanted it, apparently.
Listen, I'm here for that.
One of the unidentified wives was quoted as saying of the lifetime 3-for-1 deal, when we told him he had to marry all of us, he was shocked. But because he had already fallen in love with all of us, nothing could stop our plans since we were in love with him. Willie L. Williams in capital is saying lucky. Don't wish for that, Willie L. Williams.
Can you imagine how much all that would be?
Willie L. Williams, have you ever been in a marriage with one
with
person?
One?
Okay,
imagine
if you've
three?
ever been in a marriage with take it from me, I'm divorced, okay? But if you've ever been in a marriage with one person, it's a ton of work. To be in a marriage with 4 people?
And then imagine when they start having kids.
And what about they're identical? You know, you come home, you're like, hey, Natalie, how was your dinner? And the woman's like, I'm not Natalie, I'm Nadege.
That's wild. So
how do you even tell them apart?
So all their kids would be siblings and cousins at the same time.
How do you even tell them apart? And Jill saying in my ear, triplets are hereditary. Imagine that they all start having triplets.
Oh, man.
That's like a reality
it's
TV
too much.
show.
It's too much. I have a headache just thinking about it.
Yeah. And lastly, Yo-Yo, and quickly, because we got to move on.
Yes.
A new study has found, again, this is just Wednesday news. I don't know why on Wednesday news people get dirty minds. A new study has found that frequent porn viewing by men has a negative effect on their sex lives, but frequent porn viewing by women increases their satisfaction in sex lives.
Oh.
So women, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You show your muscles.
Right.
All right. Women
like
who
that.
watch porn have a higher satisfaction in their sex lives, but men who watch porn have a lower satisfaction in their sex lives, and according to the study, have lower self-esteem, have erectile dysfunction, and an inability to satisfy their lovers.
Yikes.
All right, I got to delete my Pornhub account.
Right. Yikes.
I've deleted
I wonder
the Pornhub
why.
account.
I wonder why.
I don't know why. My guess, I don't know. Do we have a reason why, Jill, here? Is there a reason? Where? What number? Where's the reason? All right. The psychological medicine study surveyed thousands of women and found that the more women watched porn, the more likely she was to experience an increase in self-competence, functioning, and satisfaction. Researchers were unable to conclusively explain the reasons for this, but theorized it was due to the fact that women generally prefer soft-core porn. The study states that porn can also be a source of threatening upward sexual comparisons, particularly for men. For instance, the frequency of porn use predicts penis size dissatisfaction amongst men. So the more a man watches porn, the
are they
more
like
he
comparing their personal experiences and stuff? Yeah.
It also, therapists have a dramatic uptick in the number of patients with porn-induced erectile dysfunction, including many men in their 20s and 30s. I don't know why it would be. I guess the only thing I could think of would be that, you know, like if you watch porn, maybe you think, like you watch some crazy stuff, you're like, I don't know, that should be what I should be doing, and I'm not doing it, and therefore it's not as satisfactory. I don't know.
My thing is,
why
if it depresses you, then why watch it?
I don't know.
Then again, who are they doing the survey on? Because that is not my case. Okay.
All right. So that is, as Marge Higgs says, we're going to end it like this. Marge Higgs hits it on the nail. Hits the head on the nail. And again, I meant the head of a hammer on a nail.
Yes.
I didn't mean any other head.
Yes.
She says women win every time.
I agree.
That's right, Marge. And what, Jill? The study published last month, it was in the Psychological Medicine. They surveyed more than 20,000 French-speaking adults.
Oh.
There you go. It's French.
There you go.
People in France.
Yeah, you ain't talking about us over here in the U.S.
In the U.S. of A.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know how to watch porn over here.
Yeah. I knew something was fishy.
Yeah. Woo, hot. Okay. Right. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.